More than 1.4 billion vehicles are in circulation worldwide. This number is expected to reach 2.5 billion in 2050. With the growing number of vehicles on the roads, the increasingly heavy traffic, and global overpopulation, accidents are at an all-time high. Whether in cars, on two-wheelers, in public transit, or even on foot. Danger on the road is everywhere. And at any given moment, disaster can appear out of nowhere. Today, thanks to the growing number of accidents captured on dashcams, these small dashboard-mounted cameras that record the road ahead, but also surveillance cameras and cell phones, you're about to experience the accidents in the heat of the action. Between pileups, frontal collisions, explosions, and dramatic crashes, you'll discover the hidden reality behind the biggest accidents worldwide. At the end of every episode, a never-before-seen top 10 will reveal unbelievable footage. But rest assured, the accidents you're about to witness have one thing in common. No one involved in these crashes was killed or even seriously hurt. So fasten your seatbelt and hop aboard this journey into the world of traffic accidents. In this first episode of Road Hazards, we'll uncover the biggest truck crashes captured around the world. These collisions are always impressive, especially when these steel behemoths launched at high speed plow into other vehicles. The resulting impacts are unbelievably brutal. You'll also see footage of incredible accidents involving pedestrians. Some narrowly walk out unscathed, while others are mowed down and barely escape death. You'll also be at the heart of legendary car crashes worthy of the greatest action movies. And also unlucky drivers struggling with the worst weather conditions possible. Hell can take the shape of torrential rains, tornadoes, or extraordinary storms. Finally, we'll show you a top 10 of the most spectacular accidents worldwide. Brace yourselves, because here we go. Every 20 seconds, as many as 40 traffic accidents occur around the world. This scourge kills 1.4 million people every year. Among the most spectacular and violent collisions are those involving heavy trucks. The distinctive feature of these steel monsters is their length that can reach up to 121 feet in some countries. But also their weight can go from 3.5 to 32 tons. Trucks, tow trucks, buses, or even coaches are all part of the heavy trucks category used to carry goods, materials, or people. When one of these road behemoths driving at high speed is out of control, it can cause serious damage. Everywhere around the world, cameras capture inconceivable driving mistakes involving trucks that terrorize car drivers. The trouble with heavy trucks is that they're exceptionally difficult to operate, even for the most experienced drivers. One of the hardest maneuvers in a truck is taking a sharp turn. Going at high speed and considering the truck's weight, trying to take a very sharp turn is not recommended. At that speed, the truck will inevitably topple over. When a vehicle going at high speeds reaches a bend, its weight shifts to the outer side of the curve. This phenomenon is called centrifugal force. The higher the speed of the truck in the curve, the stronger the centrifugal force gets, which ends up pushing the vehicle off course. If you add to this a heavy and unevenly distributed load, its center of gravity will tip towards the curve and the load's heavy side. Exactly like this vehicle. Here at that speed, the water inside the tank shifts towards the bend. Then the centrifugal force and speed cause the truck to topple over. Their only option is to call in a crane and put it back on its wheels. Training won't resume anytime soon. For other truck drivers, turns are not the issue, but rather shifting to the right gear. Check out these soldiers wondering what their driver is up to. While certain maneuvers are tricky for a few drivers, for others, the sheer concept of driving in a straight line is problematic. When facing trucks that are out of control, some drivers find themselves on the brink of disaster.
No, you can enter.
Claire invites her to
It's
come
a
to the
safe.
US to train with
He
her.
was taking
then,
too long.
jeez.
Agreed.
Oh my God! Oh!
As for this truck driver, he can thank his lucky stars. His vehicle topples over, his windshield shatters, and yet he escapes unharmed, although slightly stunned by the violent crash. In some accidents, like this one, a few inches can make all the difference. However, luck doesn't always rise to the occasion. The trouble with trucks is that they can show up anywhere, even when you least expect it. Due to their size, trucks tend to impose themselves to car drivers. Like in this case, when this Russian truck decides to turn no matter what. Being much lighter, the car doesn't measure up. The truck rips its body apart without even stopping to acknowledge the damage. When a truck takes a corner as it's moving forward, the distance between the truck and the curb reduces. Because in a bend, the back wheels don't follow the same axis as the front ones. In order to avoid incidents, the driver must determine the steering point. In other words, the exact moment when he'll turn the wheel. By choosing a steering point further from the bend, all of the vehicle's wheels will stay clear from the curb. In the accident we just saw, the driver didn't anticipate his trailer's axis. By turning his front wheels too soon, his trailer inevitably ended up hitting the car. Our driver should have kept going straight, while moving as far as possible away from the side he wished to turn. In this case, to the left, before steering at that point and turning without hitting the car. When dealing with trucks on the road, one should never drop one's guard. Much like here. Imagine yourself driving your vehicle. You're comfortable, everything's going well, when all of a sudden, Dragged over several feet, the driver was very lucky.
Whoa.
With heavy trucks, danger can arise when you least expect it. Just like on this footage captured by a dashcam in Russia. At this speed, you can't imagine anything happening. Any idea? Stay tuned right after this. On this Canadian highway, watch closely the driver of the car that's right ahead. When passing the other car, the driver didn't notice the truck in the left lane. After being bumped by the heavy truck, he pulls back in and brakes to avoid an accident. But unfortunately for him, a truck comes from behind, leaving the car driver unable to avoid impact. Back to the Russian highway. Keep your eyes peeled, it's about to go down very fast. In this case, danger came from behind. The truck driver didn't see that the cars were stopped. Going at a high speed and unable to brake, he charged into the traffic jam. The impact was so violent that some vehicles were blown to pieces. Now that's a pileup. A piece of advice? Watch out for the truck hiding behind your vehicle. When trucks are around, you should always keep an eye on your rearview mirror. Especially when you're thinking about cutting across. The trouble with truck drivers is that some of them are irresponsible. Even if it means being totally reckless. For this speed demon, it was a close call. But sometimes they just fail.
I just almost watched somebody die.
Here's another place in the world where truck drivers think they're kings of the road. Asia, and more specifically, Vietnam. Here, two-wheelers are everywhere. Over 42 million are registered, making Vietnam the country with the second most scooters worldwide. Inevitably, war rages between trucks and two-wheelers. Like at this intersection swarming with two-wheelers. The trucks are trying to make their way through. But amidst the chaos, it's not easy to see things clearly. Due to the lack of visibility, this truck rams a moped and knocks the passengers over. Lucky for them, the driver is warned by fellow road users. But how is it that the truck driver didn't notice the scooter? When the truck turns, the two-wheeler is in his blind spot. A blind spot is an area that's inaccessible to the driver's field of vision through the various rearview mirrors. The areas that the driver is unable to see are highlighted in yellow. There's one on each side of the cabin doors, created by the height and size of the truck. There's another right in front of the bumper of the driver's cab, and one in the back, as the truck doesn't have a central. As they're moving forward and due to the height of the cab, the driver can't see the two-wheeler that's passing them at bumper level. That's why the driver kept going forward as if nothing had happened, because he couldn't see the two-wheeler. In this footage, a truck hits a scooter and knocks over the passenger. The vehicle continues on its way as if nothing happened. The victim manages to crawl away at the very last moment and gets away with just a fright. At this other intersection, this young woman is also about to fall victim to the carelessness of a heavy truck driver. The young woman is stuck between the median and the huge truck wheels. This accident could have ended in tragedy. When facing a truck, two-wheelers are way too frail to measure up. Even for a car, the end result of an impact with a heavy truck is easy to predict. Here's proof on this footage of a vehicle changing lanes without noticing that a truck is in the way. The violent impact throws the car in the air, while the truck doesn't even swerve off course. On certain winding roads, accidents involving cars and trucks can sometimes take a disastrous turn. Luckily for this driver, despite the violent frontal collision, he escapes unscathed.
Чё ты встал-то?
In some cases, truck drivers seem to take out their frustration on cars. We don't know what this car did to him. One thing's for sure, the driver is not about to do it again. It stands to reason that you shouldn't anger a truck driver. You might regret it.
Oh, f***ing hell, man, the lorry just hit a car.
All around the globe, the coexistence between trucks and cars causes spectacular collisions. And sometimes, heavy trucks also suffer the consequences. Some trucks aren't so invulnerable. Here's a battle between two vehicles that brutally escalates, especially when everyone joins in.
Oh my god.
In this footage, we see a white van passing the red car on its left. This results in a first impact. The van driver loses control and ends up in the right lane, where a truck is coming at full speed. It smashes the van with full force.
Oh my god.
Dashcams sometimes allow us to capture extremely rare accidents, such as this one involving a tramway. It's thrusted off its rails by a truck crossing the junction without stopping. Or here, on this railroad crossing where a trailer truck is stuck on the railroad track. When it comes to trucks, the cause of the accident can sometimes be unexpected. A trailer coming unhinged, or objects flying off the cargo.
Whoa!
This car driver proved he had good reflexes and plenty of luck. Others, not as much. On the road, be it on 4 or 2 wheels, danger is everywhere. You're about to discover through incredible footage that being a pedestrian anywhere in the world can be extremely dangerous too. Especially when a car misses you by an inch, or worse, when it hits you head on. Nowadays, being a pedestrian can be quite dangerous. Around the world, over 750 pedestrians are killed in traffic accidents every day. This amounts to 275 deaths annually. This number represents 20% of casualties caused by road traffic accidents. So if you travel on foot, here's a word of advice. Keep your eyes open. If you go over these images in slow motion, you'll realize this man's good reflexes most likely saved his life. For pedestrians, danger can come from anywhere, as shown by these two men who have the reflexes to jump out of the way of this runaway car. Here we have a mother and child crossing the street on a crosswalk, until they narrowly escape a potentially fatal accident. For pedestrians, the most dangerous spot is obviously a crossroad. Because when there's a crash involving two vehicles, pedestrians can quickly become a target.
Опа, пацана.
If we take a closer look, the vehicle driving at full speed hits the side of the white car, propelling it towards the pedestrian. Luckily for this Russian man, the height of the sidewalk drastically reduces the impact speed of the vehicle. As a result, the pedestrian is hit, but at low speed. At this other intersection, two vehicles collide and brush past a pedestrian. An accident that ends in a post. Now, which of these cars is responsible for the accident that almost cost the life of a pedestrian? The two cars get to the intersection simultaneously. Neither of them brakes, yet one of them should stop to let the other one go. Which one, according to you? The golden rule when driving on the right side of the road is that in the event there's no stop sign, yield sign, traffic light, or in the absence of any signs, the vehicle coming from your right always has the right of way. Therefore, the white vehicle is at fault. It should have stopped and let the car on the right go first. The white car is guilty of what we call a failure to give way. At this point, the crash was inevitable. The exact same thing is about to happen to this man who's outside of his house to dispose of his garbage. The cause of this accident is once again a failure to give way, but in this case, exceptionally, the right-of-way doesn't apply. Indeed, this is a police priority vehicle. Emergency vehicles, when their siren or flashing lights are on, always have the right-of-way. When it comes to them, yielding to the right doesn't apply. One must always let them through. In this case, the gray vehicle should have stopped and let the police car go through. As for the pedestrian, he was very lucky. The car came this close to hitting him. Sometimes it's the pedestrians that are reckless.
You alright?
Couldn't you go any faster?
I was only going 20.
Look at this young skater shot by a friend hoping to capture his trick. But doing this on the road is never a good idea.
What the?
Luckily, only the skateboard was run over by the car. The boy was more scared than hurt. Some pedestrians may be reckless, but some drivers can be unpredictable. Look at this father and child. For unknown reasons, the driver puts his car in reverse, loses control of his vehicle, drives up the sidewalk, and ends up smashing a wall. Luckily for this child, his dad saw the danger coming. While in some cases, reflexes or pure luck allow pedestrians to dodge an accident, most of the time it's impossible to avoid impact. As evidenced by this footage, here a pedestrian ends up stuck between a car and a fence. Or this woman getting smashed into. As for this woman who's on the phone and crossing without looking, she's brutally mowed down by a careless taxi driver. In order to avoid these incidents, it's important to learn at a young age to be careful when crossing the street. And most of all, to never start running. Despite the violence of the impact, the child gets back up unharmed. His backpack most likely saved his life by protecting him from the collision with the vehicle and dampening his fall on the asphalt. This accident taught him a lesson for life.
Въебывай его! Въебывай его, заплатят, блядь! Едь, блядь!
Due to the increase of violations and offenses of all sorts, the roads around the world have become, in just a few years, the favored playground of fugitives who try and escape the police. You're about to witness car chases worthy of action movies. Like this day in the United States, for instance, when two friends riding in their car bear witness to an unbelievable scene. Watch carefully. In order to escape the police, this driver goes to any length and runs a red light. He almost mows down a cyclist and hits a car. His vehicle now immobilized, the driver has no choice other than to start running on foot.
Oh my God. I got that on that.
The police chasing after him would ultimately catch him. Here's another car chase, but in Russia. This time, the fugitive abandons his crashed vehicle in the hopes of escaping the police chasing after him. Once on site of the accident, the police realize they're too late and that the driver has already fled the scene. But sometimes it's the fugitive himself who makes a driving mistake that puts an end to his crazy chase and leads to his arrest by the police. Here's another example in a Colorado small town where a couple manages to film a live hit and run. This time also, it'll cause the fugitive's demise.
Look, he done run up on him.
Hey, we got to get out of here.
Hey, we're staying right here.
Oh my God.
When driving mixes with unpredictable weather, accidents are prone to happen. All around the world, drivers must sometimes face the worst weather conditions, such as going through storms and tidal waves, braving hailstorms, or facing strong winds and torrential rains. When the elements rage, it's never a good thing to be on the road.
Holy Jesus.
Because danger can appear when you least expect it.
Wow.
Whoa! Wow. Oh my God. That's just
When it rains, the risk of an accident is twice as high. But if wind comes into play, threats can become totally unpredictable. When the elements are unleashed, danger could be lurking anywhere. And the damage can be terrible. In the rain, the lack of visibility can cause spectacular accidents. Between a driver who failed to see a red light and a car turning without noticing a bike coming in the opposite direction, in the rain, one must be extra vigilant. Otherwise, watch out for the impact. With a monsoon that lasts 6 months a year, Thai people are used to driving in the rain and on slippery roads, assuming they don't speed. An impressive skid for this couple over some 300 feet. This is called hydroplaning. This phenomenon occurs when there's too much water on the road. Due to the accumulation, the tire grooves designed to evacuate excess water can't function properly. The faster the vehicle, the more water builds up in the front of the wheel, lifting it up slightly. The wheel no longer touches the ground and loses all grip. The vehicle becomes impossible to control and ends up skidding on the pavement. Here's more footage of reckless driving in the rain, this time in the United States. Two cars are racing on a wet road until the car in the middle suddenly drives through a big puddle. Due to the excess water, his back tires lose grip. The car starts hydroplaning and the driver completely loses control of his vehicle. He ends up on the other side of the median. In the rain, one must adjust one's speed and driving to avoid losing control of one's vehicle and end up in a rather unexpected situation. But when the elements are raging, drivers can feel helpless. Landslides, hurricanes, or tornadoes. When faced with nature's fury, no vehicle can measure up. And in these cases, one shouldn't tempt fate, as these storm chasers learn the hard way.
We gotta let it go. We gotta let it go. We gotta let it go. Back up. Turn it to it. Turn it to it.
Oh, boy! You guys okay? Yeah. I think I just almost peed my pants.
I can understand why.
After all these accidents involving trucks, pedestrians, or caused by rain, let's round off with our top 10 of the most spectacular accidents. Fasten your seatbelts because here we go. In 10th place on our rankings, we head to a mountain road in Romania. Here the turns are sharp. However, one driver is going to push their luck by passing our driver as a car comes in the opposite direction. As they pull back in, the driver loses control and ends up in the roadside. Stopped in its tracks by the banks, the vehicle is propelled in the air before it comes crashing down. For the 9th place in our rankings, we head to San Diego in the United States. These three friends are about to experience the fright of their lives. This impact is so violent that it triggers the side airbag. The safety device might have saved that woman's life. By running a red light at this speed, a collision was inevitable.
Are you guys okay? Yeah, I think so.
Number 8 takes us to Leninsk-Kuznetsky, Russia. On this highway, a driver is hogging the left lane, thus preventing a motorcycle from passing him. The biker has no other choice but to pass him on the right. Upset about this, the driver speeds up to pass him too, but things won't go as planned. In 7th place of our top 10, we're off to Mill Creek, a small town in Utah, United States. Here, someone driving at super high speed is about to run a red light.
Starting 911 call.
Number 6 is still in the United States, in Rockford, in the state of Illinois. Look closely at the vehicle in front, stopped at a bank drive-in. The driver is trying to make a deposit. The problem is, his arm is clearly too short. After several attempts, he tries to get closer to the ATM by opening his car door, but he inadvertently steps on the gas. The driver totally loses control of his vehicle. His foot stuck on the gas pedal, the car takes off at full throttle. The median ahead becomes a launch pad that sends him flying over a car before landing behind it and driving away. Before revealing number 5 of our rankings, here are more collisions that could have made our top 10 of the most spectacular accidents. A crash due to running a red light is also the cause of another accident. This one in 5th place of our rankings in Moscow, Russia. Only this time, the cyclist has a front row seat to a pileup. In fourth place, surveillance camera footage from a house in a residential area located in Miami. Everything seems peaceful. However, look closely as the action unfolds very fast. A car driver who lost control of his vehicle breaks down the fence and crosses the yard by flying over the pool. Luckily, though, no one was swimming in it at the time. In third place of our top 10 of the most spectacular accidents, we're heading to Portugal. On this highway, a stunt worthy of a big Hollywood movie is about to take place. While speeding up, a motorcyclist smashes into the car in front of him and lands on the trunk. The stunned biker grabs on until the vehicle comes to a halt. At that speed, the biker was very lucky not to have landed on the pavement. Number 2, back in the United States, in Lyons, Oregon. This biker at a stop sign is about to be the collateral victim of a collision between two vehicles. Someone runs a stop sign, and this biker pays the price. The vehicle finally backs up to free his leg. In first place on our top 10, let's soar over the American mountains of Arizona. On these breathtaking roads, a driver is about to make the worst mistake. A fall over 65 feet. What's even more incredible is that the man walked out with only superficial wounds. And above all, an intense fright. As you surely know by now, wind, rain, storms, and even tornadoes are not a driver's friend. When facing the fury of the elements, the power of trucks, and the vulnerability of pedestrians, one should always keep an eye on the road and remain vigilant if they don't want to end up in a future episode of Crash Course.